This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, October 26, 2005, and this is episode number 15 for Walt Disney World Today. I'm your host, Matt Hochberg from MGMstudios.org. On the show today, our panel includes Mike Scopa, trip planning guru. Welcome, Mike.
And a wacky Wednesday to you, Matt.
Thank you. And Len, the co-author of the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome to the show, Len.
Hey, how's it going, Matt?
Pretty good. Today, it's Wednesday, so that means we're answering listener emails. If you'd like your questions answered, be sure to email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. We've also got a form on the website if you don't have access to email necessarily, and you can use that and send us your question. So let's get right into it. Our first email comes from David, and he writes in and says, I just got back from a week-long stay and noticed something on the biometrics at the entrance gates and wanted to know if what we theorized was correct. The largest crowd we hit during our stay was at the Magic Kingdom on Monday. However, we noticed also that the gate didn't seem to hold our annual passes in them as long while we had our fingers in the biometrics. At the other parks, and even Magic Kingdom on the other days, the gate would eat the pass and hold it for about a full 2 seconds while we had our fingers in the readers. But at Magic Kingdom that day, it was noticeably faster. So the question is, does Disney have the ability to reduce the sensitivity of biometrics at times so that the larger crowds can move faster through the gates if needed?
And the answer is yes.
It certainly seems that way, doesn't it, Len?
Yeah, actually, we did a study two studies on the biometrics when the biometrics systems when they first came out. One of the things that we noticed was it was incredibly slow getting people through the turnstiles with the new system.
Right.
In fact, what we had measured was you were getting about at the Magic Kingdom, you were getting less than one person per minute through each turnstile.
Right.
On average. So this is in like March, April, and May of this year when they really started enforcing the biometrics, and that's incredibly slow, especially for a big park like the Magic Kingdom where there's a lot of demand. And I think that's why you saw a lot more turnstiles being constructed. But since then, I believe they've turned on the sensitivity, and here's why I think that's true. Last weekend or 2 weekends ago, when I was at Epcot, my brother-in-law and I, who both have annual passes, decided to see how sensitive the biometric sensors were by switching our annual passes, and we both got in with no problem, and our hands looked nothing alike. So I think they've really reduced that in order to get people through the door faster.
And of course, the biometrics do not look for fingerprints. They don't measure that. It's finger size, rather.
Right. They're measuring height and width, and even then, I don't think it's that sensitive. I think right at this point it's looking for 2 fingers.
Yeah, I think we give it too much credit than it deserves. I was going to ask Len, do you know if that when they added those, I believe they added 12 new turnstiles to the Magic Kingdom over the winter, and I was wondering if the biometrics that were included in those, I believe 6 or 12 turnstiles, if they're the same generation biometrics as the previous ones that were already there. Do you know that?
No, I'm assuming that they would all be the same, only because you wouldn't want to support 2 versions of either hardware or software within the Magic Kingdom at once.
Yeah, I just wonder if the new set would be reading faster than the old set. I was just wondering.
I think if David goes back, or if one of our listeners wants to give this a shot, what I'd like to see is having a husband and wife switch tickets and see if they work.
It's been done.
If you want to do that, if our readers are up for a challenge. Try that and see what happens. My guess is that happens hundreds of times a day, given the size of Walt Disney World.
It's been
done. And I'll bet you it's not even detected.
Carol and I did that last year. We actually had the wrong tickets, but we were able to get in. I used hers and she used mine. So
yes, I think the biometrics are. It might be a publicity thing to where Disney's telling people that, look, don't even try it because we have technology that'll detect it.
Right.
But I think in practice, again, to get people through the gates quickly, it's probably so relaxed that it's almost not effective.
I just like when I can get the old park hopper tickets. There's still a few places that sell them, and I just love being able to avoid that whole problem and just zip right through.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the partially used passes will still be sold on eBay when people realize that the biometrics don't do anything. Another topic.
Right. Peter from New York City asks, do any of the restaurants at Downtown Disney participate in the Disney Dining Plan? If so, which ones?
Oh.
Yeah, they do, but some of them have a surcharge. Like I know Wolfgang Puck's does, but there are certain items that aren't on the menu that aren't covered under the plan that you'll have to pay a surcharge for. And I believe it's also the same at
Portobello,
Planet
maybe?
Hollywood.
Are they all available, or is it just select ones?
No. Like at Downtown Disney, I know Captain Jack's is, Earl of Sandwich does, Food Quest. Actually, on our website, transplants.com. Not that I want to promote our website or anything, sorry, but we actually have a list of all the participating restaurants on there.
I'll put a link in the show notes for Peter, and he can.
Yeah, and it's Captain Jack's, Earl of Sandwich, Food Quest, Missing Link, Planet Hollywood, but there's that surcharge, Wolfgang Puck Express, and then the Wolfgang Puck Cafe, there's that surcharge again. And that's it. So I guess like Bongos doesn't, any other places that are there doesn't. Smoothies don't count, things like that.
Well, our next question, I guess, is kind of directed at Len almost.
Good.
Beth writes, "What happened with the Food and Wine Festival podcast? When I heard it, I was thrilled to hear that Gravlax would be served at the Food and Wine Festival. I always wanted to try it, and I figured this would be my big chance. When we went to Epcot last week, I marched everyone all the way to the Norway Pavilion, past lots of other interesting and yummy temptations, only to discover no Gravlax.
No Gravlax, really? It was on the list. It was on the list. I was lied to.
Because she goes on and says, of course I would have known better had I read the guide before our trek, but I figured I knew what was what because I listened to the podcast. And
that's where you went wrong, right there.
Don't ever listen to anything we say. My family was not happy with me. They were very disappointed about the Gravlax. And so, did you have some when you were down there, Len?
Actually, no. I stuck to France on that side. I'm very sorry, Beth. I was told there would be Gravlax, really, which is why I promoted it. And if you've never had it, it is an interesting flavor. I mean, again, my apologies. I thought there was.
Len will be sending you some Gravlax in the mail.
Send me your email address.
You'll get a letter. It'll be able to kind of smell a little funny.
Really, no Gravlax. I'll have to look at that. Was it not Norway? Or I mean, I don't know if it was Norway or Scandinavia. She went to the Scandinavia booth and there was no Gravlax?
She says Norway Pavilion.
Okay, I think Scandinavia was there. Let me do some checking around.
Sure.
Sorry about that.
Our next question is from Jeffrey of Victoria, British Columbia, in Canada. We're getting international now. He writes, I am using Magical Express. My flight arrives near midnight. Should I take my bags with me on the bus? If I don't, will they deliver them in the middle of the night or the next morning?
Wow, good question. I don't know if it runs at midnight.
I took a flight. Actually, I had a midnight flight where I landed. I took Magical Express, and I can tell you that if you arrive past a certain point, which I don't know what the cutoff is, but I know midnight is certainly past it, that you will not receive your bags until the next morning. That comes from a cast member who works on Disney's Magical Express.
Matt, did they say what time in the morning?
I don't know what time exactly. I would think you would get it before noon, just because it's probably the first ones they've got to take care of when they get in the morning. But I wouldn't know an exact time. So, but you should always heed the advice when dealing with Magical Express, and that's to take a carry-on bag with essentials that could probably carry you over for about 24 hours. It's probably the good rule of thumb.
Well, I think was it Jeffrey who asked the question?
Yes.
I think Jeffrey. I think we've answered the question, and that is, take your luggage with you on the bus if you can, and take it off if you can when you get to your resort.
Yep. Take what you can take with you, and let the rest go through.
Yep.
Well, guys, it was a quick show. That's the questions for this week. But don't forget, you can have your questions answered next week by emailing us. You can email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. And we'll be sure to put them on, including all the questions about Gravlax that you can think of.
I'm looking at my material, and it's not. They went with peppered mackerel.
Peppered mackerel?
What's the difference?
Disney's cutting back when the Gravlax is going by.
We'll have to write.
Yeah, start a letter campaign. Bring back the Gravlax.
Exactly. Oh, we can't blame Eisner either.
Yeah.
Bring back the pineapple caramel at Ohana's too.
Oh, at
while we're at
Ohana.
it.
Yeah.
Don't forget the shrimp at Ohana's also.
And also
sorry
the
about
coconut
that.
snowball at Ohana. Ohana, are you listening? John O'Brien, are you listening?
That's right. They can close the carousel of progress, but we want our Grapplex.
It's true.
That's it for us today. This has been episode number 15 of Walt Disney World Today. Be sure to visit the Walt Disney World Today website at www.wdwtoday.com for the show notes, as well as the ability to send us all your comments about this podcast. And please be sure to send us all your questions to questions@wdwtoday.com. As always, you can look for our new shows on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays of every week. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. We'll see you on the next show.